And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we will be discussing Stanley Druckenmiller. He is one of the latest Bitcoin detractors that has finally bent the knee and got involved in Bitcoin. And we're starting to see this trend grow at an accelerated pace. Now we have Square, PayPal, who else just got involved? The guy from MicroStrategy. We've seen Paul Tudor Jones. We're starting to see this happen more and more and more. And this is what I've been trying to tell you guys. I've been involved in crypto for about 8 years, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit longer. And for so long, you had all of these big institutional investors and players saying that, oh, Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, and that it couldn't be a store of value because it's too volatile and that it consumes too much electricity. So many different excuses that they were trying to use. And now we're starting to see these very same detractors. Now they are investing in Bitcoin. As I said, at first it's slowly, then it becomes gradually, and then we're going to start to see this exponential hockey stick as far as growth and adoption is concerned when we talk about cryptocurrencies in general. Now we have central banks coming out and talking about central bank digital currencies. We have China rolling out their own version of CBDCs. Now we have the Fed talking about this. The trend is pointing and trending in the right direction. And for those of us who have been investing in this technology for the past decade plus, or for the past 5 years plus, whenever you decide to get involved, understand that all of the outside money, they have to come pump our bags. And all of this big institutional money, there's literally trillions of dollars that's sitting on the sideline that has to come into crypto. I say this all the time. The cryptocurrency, the entire market cap of all cryptocurrencies is less than $500 billion. The stock market is well over a $90 trillion asset class when you look at all of the stocks and their total value. Money has to flow from those traditional assets into crypto. So when you look at this from the standpoint of employment, when you look at this from the standpoint as being an entrepreneur, an investor, we're in exciting times right now because we're early. Less than 1% of the world's population has ever even transacted with crypto. So we're extremely early. And I said this in my previous video. Back in 1995, when the internet first launched, there was less than 5 million people using, about 5.5 million people using the internet back in 95. Here we are now in 2020, and there's close to 5 billion people using the internet. That's exponential growth. And that's where we're going to go with crypto in general. You can't look at what Bitcoin is today or what Ethereum is today. You have to look at what it will be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Remember, we're dealing with technology that can be improved and go through different various forms of iterations to get better over time. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, right on cue, today at about 5 in the morning, news breaks that there's this vaccine from Pfizer that's 90% effective against fighting the virus. Think about the timing of this. A week after the election, now you announce that you have this vaccine that can potentially help people. At this point, if you can't see the games that they're playing with you, I don't know what to tell you. But you have to be smart enough to read between what's going on here. And again, I don't care where you sit in politics. I don't care if you are a Republican or a Democrat. You know where I stand. They're both the left and right wing of the same bird flying towards the same direction, which is the Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution that you need to make sure that you're getting prepared for. The goal is to withstand and last and be hereafter is what you should be focused on. Not focused on which party you think is better, because at this point, both parties, in my opinion, are terrible. But the stock market boomed today and hit all-time highs because of this news. As I said in my previous video, I expect volatility over this coming period. So I'm not saying that you should sell everything. Remember, this isn't financial advice. This is me telling you how I'm thinking. We have to go through a lame duck session now from Today's November 9th to January 20th, which is the inauguration date. No stimulus is coming. No stimulus is coming. So I expect more volatility right as we're going through our second wave now. We just peaked over 100,000 new cases for the virus. So you have to keep this in mind. No stimulus is coming for about the next 2.5 to 3 months. And now we're getting a spike in COVID cases in the winter. So I can definitely see a scenario where markets start tanking. We start getting bad economic data because of no stimulus. So you have to keep that in mind. So what you should be doing, not panicking, because we don't buy the pump. We don't FOMO into our crypto positions. We don't FOMO into our stock positions over here. I buy red. I buy panic. I buy when there's blood in the streets. And I sell the rally. I buy the dip. I buy the bear market. And I sell to the suckers that's buying the FOMO. I'm not buying Bitcoin at $15,000. I was buying Bitcoin at $700, $800, $1,000. I sell Bitcoin at 15. I sell Bitcoin at 20. I sell Bitcoin at 30K. That's what smart investors do. So if you like Tesla, if you like Apple, if you like Amazon, Netflix, Google, the FANG stocks, you should have a shopping list of things that you want to buy. And you should be waiting for pullbacks. And you should be waiting for crashes and adding to your positions. We dollar cost average over here. That's what smart investors do. We have to do that. So please like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure that you are joining my mailing list, because whenever I talk about crypto, YouTube will not send out these notifications, nor will they actually recommend this to people within their web pages. So please make sure that you're doing that for me and joining my mailing list so that I can email you whenever I'm going live or making a video. If you want to contact me, follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, and we can dialogue in my inbox. For those of you who want to learn about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, how to buy, how to sell, how to use various different platforms. Also, if you're interested in learning as far as being an entrepreneur in this space, as far as web development and building dApps and utilizing the programming language on Ethereum known as Solidity, we currently have a coding bootcamp going on. For those of you who are a part of the coding bootcamp, I just dropped another project inside of our Slack group. If you are a part of the academy, because I know some of you, you're busy with life. We launched a Slack group now. We have our own Slack group. Come over to the Slack group and get involved. Make sure that you're keeping up with the projects, because next we're going to start diving into frameworks and libraries, and it's important that you're up to speed with what's going on. Last thing, for those of you who want to book a consultation with me, for those of you who want to speak to me, simply come over to my website, book a consultation, and we can go from there. And for those of you who have, you can see me clearly and you can hear me clearly, type 1 and we can get our live stream started. And yes, my birthday did just pass this weekend. Thank you to everyone who gave me a birthday shout out. I appreciate it. So let's listen to legendary investor Stanley Druckenmiller speak about Bitcoin, and then we're going to talk about what he said about 3 years ago about Bitcoin. So let's listen to this right now. Hold on. Okay.
I'm a bit of a dinosaur, but I have warmed up to the fact that Bitcoin could be an asset class that has a lot of attraction to it as a store of value to both millennials and the new West Coast money. And as you know, they got a lot of it. It's been around for 13 years, and with each passing day, it picks up more of its stabilization of a brand. So I own many more times gold than I own Bitcoin. But frankly, if the gold bet works, the Bitcoin bet will probably work better because it's thinner and more liquid and has a lot more beta to it. I'm a bit of a dinosaur, but I have warmed up to the fact that Bitcoin could be an asset class that has a lot of attraction to it as a store of value to both millennials and the new West Coast money. And as you know, they got a lot of it. It's been around for 13 years, and with each passing day, it picks up more more of its stabilization of a brand. So I own many, many more times gold than I own Bitcoin. But frankly, if the gold bet works, the Bitcoin bet will probably work better because it's thinner and more liquid and has a lot more beta to it.
So he's definitely changed his position over the years. And don't worry, we're going to get to that video where he was talking negatively about Bitcoin 3 years ago. But I constantly keep telling you guys, I own gold and I own silver, lots of it. But I keep trying to tell you guys that investing is all about opportunity, right? Opportunity costs. And it's all about math. The gold market cap is $10 trillion, which means that in order for gold to double in price, we need another $10 trillion to come in. When you look at crypto, specifically when you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's worth less than $300 billion. So which one has more upside? When you're talking about digital gold, it's much easier to pump the price of Bitcoin than it is to pump the price of gold. Remember, gold is meant to preserve wealth. It is a store of value. If you don't have any wealth, if you haven't accrued any wealth and built any wealth, then you really don't have any purpose investing in gold and silver. I keep telling you, well, silver may outperform gold. Well, definitely will because it has industrial uses. But I'm talking about just from the standpoint of, remember that mainly gold. Gold is for people that have wealth. If you don't have wealth, you don't have any business buying gold. If anything, you should be buying silver because it has more upside because of the industrial use case, or you should be buying crypto because this is a grossly undervalued asset class. Just think about that for a second. If Bitcoin can capture 10% of the gold market cap, what do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to look like? This is the easiest 10x that you could possibly ever ask for. And I just don't understand why most people can't realize that. Like, it's so obvious. But again, you have to be equipped with the correct eye to understand what's going on. And so many people, they don't have an eye for undervalued assets and asset classes, nor do they really understand technology. See, many of you use technology every day, but you don't really understand how it works. And this is how, the FANG stocks are able to capture so much wealth. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google is because they were able to understand and create the future and shape the future. And so many people were caught blindsided. And the same thing is happening right now with crypto. And I keep telling you, especially you younger millennials and younger, this is your .com bubble. This is the Internet 2.0. You need to be getting involved in this technology from the standpoint of as an investor, from the standpoint as being an entrepreneur, trying to develop your own cryptocurrencies, working on a blockchain, working on layer 2 scalability solutions, whatever the case may be, and even from an employment standpoint. Because again, we're seeing the second spike in COVID cases now. We're seeing that spike. More lockdowns, more staying at home, more social distancing. Well, guess what? If you know how to program, if you're into IT, you're working remotely. You can be employed by a company in South Africa, in Argentina somewhere, and working here in America remotely because you have a skill set. So learning Python, Django, learning Node.js and JavaScript, that's important. Web development is important. Data analytics, artificial intelligence, all of that stuff's important. And this is why I keep trying to steer you in that direction. Even if you don't join my academy, there are tons of free resources on the internet. Now, the problem with free is it's scattered and it's longer. It'll take you longer to learn, but you need to be getting involved in that tech. 100%. You have to. That's very, very important. So now, what I want to do now is let's listen to what he said a few years ago. This was back in 2017. Let's listen to what he had to say because, again, he's finally bending the knee. And you're going to start to see a lot of these big hedge fund managers and institutional investors and institutional money managers and even these banks. We see JP Morgan getting involved now. They're going to have to bend the knee. I can't wait to the day when Peter Schiff finally buys some Bitcoin. That's going to be good.
See what's going on in Bitcoin.
Do you own any cryptocurrencies?
I don't own any. Obviously, as a trader, I should have, but I only trade what I know. What I do know is it takes the same amount of energy to do one Bitcoin transaction that it takes to power 9 homes in the U.S. by 2019, it'll take up half the energy in the entire United States to run the Bitcoin network.
Sounds like the utility companies are a buy.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting that most of the people in Bitcoin are climate people. They're West Coast people. I don't quite get the connection. We've got this rogue currency that we're all going to support that is destroying the climate in some extent, but whatever.
So you're not going to take a position on whether Bitcoin is going to go up to 100,000 or 1,000,000 or whatever if we're talking about bubbles, it must look to you like some of the greatest we've ever experienced.
I don't know whether it's the greatest we've ever experienced. Look, Bitcoin is like anything else. It's worth what people are willing to pay for it. And right now, people are willing to pay, I haven't looked in the last 5 minutes, so it could have varied 10, but let's say they're willing to pay 17,000. That's what it's worth. The tulips were worth when people were paying that for them. Gold is what it's worth. What I do know about Bitcoin is the concept that it could ever be a medium of exchange has been eliminated because you can't do transactions, particularly retail transactions, with something with this kind of volatility. But if people think Bitcoin is worth 17,000, that's what it's worth today.
Last thing on this before we move on, there are people who want to hold Bitcoin because they're as critical of the Fed and other central banks as you are. So if they agree with your philosophy that the central banks are screwing this up, then what would be a better way to express that than holding something like Bitcoin?
That's an excellent question. I think at some point figure out when this is going to end and then either get out or go short. Because, by the way, when this ends, and it will, I'm talking about this monetary radicalism period we're in, Bitcoin will probably go down with the rest of the stuff.
So there's a lot to unpack there, but most importantly, the guy who was a bear on Bitcoin is now investing in Bitcoin. Very, very key here. Again, when we're talking about volatility, you're talking about an asset class that's worth less than $300 billion. And you're trying to compare it to an extremely thick market like gold, which has a $10 trillion market cap. Of course, it's going to be easy to push the price of Bitcoin around because it's a baby in terms of the asset class. As it matures and as the market cap gets larger, it's going to be harder to push the price of Bitcoin around. That's just common sense. And see, when people make that argument, they're being disingenuous because they know that the average person doesn't understand markets in the way that assets are structured. Now, when we start talking about Bitcoin and this energy consumption, you have to understand, you have to be more nuanced in the conversation. The consumption of energy isn't the problem. It's the production of energy and where the energy comes from that is the problem when we're talking about climate change. What do I mean by that? If you're utilizing renewable energy from the sun, from wind, and from solar, you don't care about the consumption of energy because you're utilizing green energy. You're utilizing renewable energy. You care about when you're producing and using dirty energy is what you should be focusing on. That's the problem. Because when people say that Bitcoin is wasting energy, no, it's not. That's a subjective argument, right? It can't be a waste of energy if I am investing in it. Right? I'm willing to invest my economic productivity into staking and securing the Bitcoin network. So it's not the consumption of energy that's the problem. It's the production of energy and where the energy is coming from. Case in point, how much energy does an office building waste when you walk past it and it's closed, but the lights are still on? How much electricity and energy does a traditional banking system waste on an annual basis when they leave the lights on? Like here, I live here in New York City. Right now, I can walk down in Wall Street or walk in Park Avenue and I can see the lights on in these buildings, but yet no one's in there working. That's wasting and using electricity. How much electricity do we waste on Christmas when we have these pretty nice Christmas lights up that has no economic productivity behind it at all, right? So see, you have to make sure that you are paying attention and being nuanced in your conversations because see, we are trying to solve a problem that many of you don't even realize is a problem. And the problem is our monetary system. So there should be no cap on how much electricity you are willing to use to protect something as important as your monetary system. Because as your monetary system goes, so goes your economy, so goes your freedom. And I'm about to dive into an article that I'm going to share with you guys, but it's important that you understand that it's not about the consumption of electricity. It's about the production of it. Because if anything, miners are incentivized to make money, right? So therefore, they're always going to seek the most efficient energy producer. They're always going to look out for green energy. If it can bring down their cost per kilowatt, if it can bring down the price per kilowatt, if it can bring down how much energy they're using, they're 100% going to go for the more efficient model. So I think you need to make sure that you're paying attention to that. Very, very important. Now, this article that I'm going to share with you is called Bitcoin Does Not Waste Energy. Don't worry, I'm not going to read the entire article. I would encourage you to go here and read the article on your own so that you can be educated about what's going on. And even if you think that Bitcoin is an energy waster, well, we have proof of stake cryptocurrencies such as Cardano and Ethereum's getting ready to move over to proof of stake as well. So there are alternatives. So whether you are a Bitcoin bull, an Ethereum bull, a proof of stake or proof of work bull, it doesn't matter. What matters is the technology is here, and it's only going to continue to keep growing at a rapid pace. So I just want to read a little bit of this for you. It says, we will come back to this, but you will never hope to understand the justification for the amount of energy Bitcoin consumes without first developing an appreciation for the fundamental role money plays in coordinating economic activity. What is money? How does it work? How should it work? What is its function in society? If you haven't stopped to ask these questions, you can't begin to grasp the weight of the problem Bitcoin intends to solve. And without an appreciation for the problem, the cost to secure the solution will never seem justified. See, people like Stanley Druckenmiller, they benefit from this fractional reserve debt-based economy. So therefore, they can't see the need to fix a problem that they benefit from, right? If the Fed is constantly debasing our currency and debasing the money supply, and if the Fed is constantly bailing us out, why the hell would I want to change that system? If I am on the receiving end of the benefit of a system, right? Inflation only benefits asset holders. It does not benefit people who are saving money and working. It only benefits asset holders. Well, we know the 1% owns more than 50% of the stock market, right? We know that. So, of course, they love this system. They don't want to see this monetary system change. So, of course, they don't see anything wrong with Bitcoin. I mean, they don't see anything wrong with our current monetary policy, and they see everything wrong with gold and Bitcoin because these are deflationary currencies where they reward holders and they reward people who are saving their money, right? The time value of money matters because, see, when you live in this economy where we're constantly debasing currency, then there's no real value on holding money, which constantly keeps people spending money. You have to think about that. It says, any number of concerned onlookers raised the red flag about the amount of energy consumed by the Bitcoin network. This concern stems from the idea that the energy consumed by the Bitcoin network could otherwise be utilized for more productive functions, or that it is just plain bad for the environment, but ignore the fundamental magnitude of how critical Bitcoin's energy consumption actually is in the long game. There may be no greater, more important use of energy than that which is deployed to secure the integrity of a monetary network, and constructively in this case, the Bitcoin network, but that doesn't stop those that do not understand the problem statement from raising concerns. Because many of you don't see a problem because if I raised you in a prison, you would never know you were in a prison. Many of you don't know what freedom looks like. And this goes back to the Matrix. So many people are plugged in that they will fight to stay in because they truly believe that this is the cream of the crop. They don't see anything wrong with losing 3% of their purchasing power every year. They don't see anything wrong with mandatory vaccinations. They don't see anything wrong with Wall Street speculators and Fortune 500 companies leveraging their balance sheets up 100 to 1, 200 to 1, 300 to 1, getting all of the benefits, paying themselves paying themselves bonuses, and then when the economy crashes, the Fed comes in and bails them out. Many of you don't see anything wrong with that because you have an iPhone and you can go to your favorite concert and buy a pair of sneakers. So you don't see anything wrong with this system because you were raised to be a slave. And many of you enjoy your servitude. It goes back to the scene in The Matrix where I believe the guy's name was Cypher, and he was sitting down with Agent Smith, and he said, I know that this stake is fake, but when I get plugged back in, I want to be someone important. Many of you are so caught up within this matrix that you love it, and you will fight to stay in it. People like myself and those who are part of this whole crypto revolution. And again, it's not just about being a Bitcoin maximalist. Whatever cryptocurrency you like, we're in this because we want freedom. Many of us want to be unplugged. We see a problem. And now, if you want to be a part of the solution, then get on board. But many of you, sad to say, the train's already left the station. You have a chance to still hop on board, but many of you are going to get steamrolled by this train wreck that's coming. So I just want to read about 2 more paragraphs, and then we can get to the rest of the presentation. It says, for background, Bitcoin is secured by a decentralized network of nodes, computers running the Bitcoin protocol. Economic nodes within the network generate, validate, and relay transactions, as well as validate and relay Bitcoin blocks, time sequence groups of transactions. If you are a part of My Tech Academy, you should know this like the back of your hand. I cover all of this in our first Bitcoin introduction course. Mining nodes perform similar functions, but also perform Bitcoin's proof of work function to generate, solve, and transmit blocks to the rest of the network. By performing this work, miners validate history and provide a clearing function for current transactions, which all other nodes then check for validity. Think of the clearing function of the New York Fed, but on a completely decentralized basis every 10 minutes. The work performed requires massive amounts of processing power contributed by miners all over the world, running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This processing power requires energy. For context, 75 exahashes per second. The Bitcoin network currently consumes approximately 7 to 8 gigawatts of power, which translates to $9 million per day or $3.3 billion per year of energy at a marginal cost of 5 cents per kilowatt, rough estimates. Based on national averages in the United States, the Bitcoin network consumes as much power as approximately 6 million homes. Yeah, it definitely is a lot, but it also is what secures and backs the Bitcoin network. Remember what I said to you, the consumption isn't the problem. It is the production of energy, where it's coming from. If you are consuming renewable energy, such as wind, solar, hydro, it's not a problem. The problem is when you're consuming dirty energy. And what you have to understand is anytime you hear a person say that, you then have to ask them, how much money does it cost to run our banking system, to run those large corporate office buildings when the lights are on all day long, shipping debit cards all around the country, right? Shipping paperwork and contracts. All of that is utilizing dirty energy as well, or utilizing energy as well. So how could this much energy be justified, and what will Bitcoin consume when billions of people are using it? The dollar works just fine, right? Well, that's the thing. It doesn't. These resources are being devoted to fix a problem most don't understand exists, which makes justifying a derivative cost challenging. To help ease the pain of environmentalists and social justice warriors, we often point out a number of countervailing narratives to make it seem more palatable. A significant portion of Bitcoin's energy consumption is generated from renewable resources, as I said. Bitcoin will spur innovation and development of renewable energy and technology and resources. Why? Because as investors, you're constantly going to seek new alternatives that can actually bring down the cost of your electricity. So you're going to invest in renewable energy. Why? Because you want to get that step above all of the other miners. So you're going to constantly be seeking cheaper energy and more efficient energy. It's common sense. It says Bitcoin consumes energy that is otherwise wasted if not flared into the sphere. Another thing you have to think about how much electricity that's actually ordered, right? That these towns and these municipalities order that doesn't get used or gets wasted. You have to think about that as well. Bitcoin consumes only the energy that the free market will bear at a free market rate. Bitcoin consumes energy resources that would otherwise not be economic to develop. The nature of Bitcoin energy demand will improve the efficiency of the energy grids. Again, more and more Bitcoin miners, and you have these big mining facilities. They're investing literally hundreds of millions of dollars into renewable energy and into alternative energy sources that will bring down their costs. So again, it's not the consumption that's the problem, it's the production, and where this energy is being produced and how it's being produced is something that you should actually be paying attention to. So again, I highlighted a lot of things in this article. I posted it. I don't want to spend too much time reading this to you. So the next thing I want to jump into is Nouriel Roubini. He is another one of these no coiners. He refers to all cryptocurrencies as shitcoins. And he's another one that's starting to bend the knee. I keep trying to tell you guys, all of these big institutional money managers, he's an economist, I believe. They call him Dr. Doom. He predicted the 2008 crash. But what you have to understand is that if I sit up here and I say to you every second of the day that the sun is going to come up, eventually I'm going to be right. Now, am I right because I predicted that was going to happen, or am I right just because of a function of timing and probability? Like a blind squirrel will eventually find an acorn. He's still a blind squirrel, right? So just because you can accurately predict something doesn't mean that your predictions are correct if you're constantly saying the same thing, because then you have to factor in, you can't just look at all of the times you are correct. Then I have to also start looking at the times that you were wrong, right? So let's listen to what he had to say.
Bitcoin is not a currency. It's maybe a partial store of value, because unlike thousands of other what I call shit coins, it cannot be so easily debased, because there is at least an algorithm that decides how much the supply of Bitcoin raises over time, because for most of those other ones, literally is done ad hoc, and they're being debased faster than what the Fed is doing. Bitcoin is not a currency. It's maybe a partial store of value, because unlike thousands of other what I call shit coins, it cannot be so easily debased, because there is at least an algorithm that decides how much the supply of Bitcoin raises over time, because for most of those other ones, literally is done ad hoc, and they're being debased faster than what the Fed is doing. Bitcoin is...
Right, so again, he's another one that's starting to bend the knee. The reason why Bitcoin is being viewed as a store of value, is because if you look at most UTXOs, and again, if you don't know what a UTXO is, this is why either you should utilize Google or you should join the Academy. Over 60% of Bitcoin UTXOs have not moved in over a year, which means that people are buying it and they're holding it. Now, there's a difference between currency and money. Currency is just used as a medium of exchange. Currency can be anything. It could be beads. It could be shells. It could be pieces of paper. It could be stone. Whatever you want it to be. That's just something that you and I agree that I'm willing to give whatever I have for that exchange of value that you have. That's currency, right? But a currency cannot be money because it doesn't store value. Money is something that it can be used as a medium of exchange. It could be used as a store of value, and it also could be used as a unit of account. That's money. That's why gold has always been viewed as money, because if I put my money in gold, when I come back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's still going to have the same value. It will not lose its value over time. Now, Bitcoin is shooting to be that store of value. It's volatile because it's only a $300 billion, is less than $300 billion as far as the market cap is concerned. Of course, it's going to be volatile. It's going to have more volatility than gold because gold is a thicker market cap. That's just common sense. But you're starting to see more and more of these people bend the knee as to something that I knew 5 years ago, 7 years ago. When I first came across this technology, I knew that it was going to be revolutionary. I just didn't understand to the degree. But as I matured and I got older and I matured as an investor, I can definitely see the principles. Now, you hear people say, well, what separates Bitcoin's blockchain from any other blockchain? For example, Ethereum. Ethereum can never be money because Ethereum's monetary policy changes too often. Ethereum is a science project. I own Ethereum. I have a big bag of Ethereum. But what's the circulating supply of Ethereum? what is the cap on Ethereum? There is no cap. So if there isn't a cap, it can't be money. It just can't be. And you have to pay attention to that and understand that. There's also something known as the network effect, right? Now we have EIP, I believe 1559 coming up, right? That's monetary policy. Well, how much are we going to burn of these transaction fees, right? No, if no one who has billions of dollars at stake is going to want to put their money into a science project that changes every 3 to 5 years. So you have to understand that. Bitcoin is slow, it's clunky, it's designed to be that way. When you understand that, you understand why what the value proposition is for Bitcoin over Ethereum. This is why you have to pay attention and make sure that you're educating yourself as to what you're buying and what the value proposition is. Ethereum is trying to be a software platform to decentralize finance. And what we're starting to see is that, well, Ethereum's pretty slow when it comes to trying to be DeFi. And many of these DeFi projects really aren't that decentralized because they have admin keys and it's just a bunch of middlemen trying to scam. And we're going to get to that in a second. But again, I'm bullish on Ethereum long term because I do think that they have first movers advantage in terms of the marketplace, but they're trying to solve something different than what Bitcoin is trying to solve. And I think that we need to stop trying to make it a, one or the other. No, I can like Bitcoin for a store of value. And I can like Ethereum for decentralized finance. I can like both. I can invest in both. And I think that that's important that you come to that conclusion. Different cryptocurrencies, they have different pros and they have different cons. You need to make sure that you know the difference. So just keep that in mind as you are investing, right? And what you're investing in so that you don't get bamboozled because, being a maximalist is going to make you miss out on a lot of gains. Right? If all you want to do is hold Bitcoin and you think everything else is a shitcoin, well, then you're going to miss out on a lot of pumps and gains. Because like I said before, Chainlink is by far one of my favorite cryptocurrencies. And I understand, I don't care if you like Tezos, Cardano, Avalanche, Theta, whichever one of these, DApp platforms you like, they're going to have to utilize oracles. And Chainlink by far has that game down pack. Like that marketplace is definitely intact. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, I wanted to share this with you because I find this funny. Someone made this meme, and this is very true, right? Like, this is true right here because this is me. I want to play this for you guys. That because I played this because I'm watching the price pump and I'm watching all of these no coiners like Stanley Druckenmiller and Peter Schiff and PayPal and all of these different entities and institutional players and JP Morgan and banks, all these people who said, oh, it was a scam, it was a scheme, it's a Ponzi scheme, what happens if the grid goes out, all of this crazy stuff that people are saying. Now these no coiners are getting involved. And I just sit back here and I laugh because we haven't witnessed anything yet. I'm telling you, we're going to wake up on some days and Bitcoin's price is going to be pumping $2,000-$3,000 a day because the rush is going to happen. We haven't witnessed the surge yet, right? Apple has over $180 billion in cash just sitting on the sidelines. So trust me when I tell you, the money is going to come. It's definitely going to come. And you have to just make sure that you're positioning yourself. So as I said before, I expect volatility. I embrace it because I have a 3 to 5 year time horizon. I understand what this technology is. And I love the fact that I've been right and so many people have been wrong, which now leads me to my next point. Right here, cred customers demand answers after platform files bankruptcy. This is one of these quote unquote lending platforms. You have to be very, very careful with these platforms. They are trying to get your Bitcoin. So they are going to promise you 8% APYs, 10% APYs, 30% APYs, because they're trying to get your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is valuable. Your Bitcoin is valuable, not your keys, not your crypto. If you are giving your crypto to one of these centralized platforms, even BlockFi, I think that it's a good platform, but I wouldn't trust them with my crypto, and I damn sure wouldn't trust them with my Bitcoin, because now they just filed bankruptcy. And Caitlin, she says something very, 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 very important. It says, crypto lending platform I Have Cred has filed for bankruptcy 2 weeks after an announcement suspending fund inflows and outflows. Bankruptcy filings now report $50 to $100 million in estimated assets versus $100 to $500 million in liabilities. She says, this is what can happen to a fractional reserve Bitcoin lender because there's no lender of last resort in BTC. Get ready for more news like this to come. There's zero transparency or counterparty credit risk analysis available for BTC lenders. Rehypothecation in Bitcoin doesn't mix. I keep telling you guys this. You have to be smart with your crypto. I have a lot of you coming to me saying, oh man, when's the DeFi course going to launch? When's the DeFi? I will not put my face on something that I do not trust and I have not used and I am not invested in. Everything that you see me promoting inside of the academy, everything that I'm teaching you in the academy, these are assets that I'm invested in. I talked about Uniswap prior to the airdrop because I've been using Uniswap. So I wanted to share that with you because I believe in it. I believe in technology with no intermediaries, no middlemen. That is the purpose of crypto. If I have to wrap my Bitcoin, if I have to give my Bitcoin to someone else, I don't trust it. I've been in this game too long. I've witnessed stuff like this happen too many times. Stop expecting a free lunch. Yes, those APYs, they sound great. Yield farming, liquidity mining, all of that stuff sounds great until they rug pull you. Because now your Bitcoin's gone. Now what? What do you do now? Your Bitcoin's gone. Be smart. Be smart. Be very, 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 very smart. Listen to what she says. What's fascinating about the collapse of intermediaries in Bitcoin is that they've usually been blamed on hacking initially, but then it comes out that they were actually running fractional for a long time. Remember, financial institutions can stay liquid long after they're insolvent. When she's talking about fractional, what they're doing is they're selling you more Bitcoin than they actually have, right? They're rehypothecating the Bitcoin. Follow me here. Or when you log into your account with one of these lenders or exchanges, it'll say you have 2 Bitcoin. The problem is if everyone at one time decides to take their Bitcoin off of that exchange or off of that platform, they don't have enough Bitcoin to actually send you. This is where you run into that problem. This is why I keep trying to tell you guys, not your keys, not your crypto. Not your keys, not your crypto. Now, if you want to take a portion of your crypto and speculate in some of these, yield farming and stuff like that, if it's not a decentralized protocol like Uniswap, I don't really trust trying to provide liquidity to those pools. And even in that case, if you go back to Black Thursday, where the actual collateral dropped further than the actual price of the CDPs, you have to be very, very smart about that and know what you're putting your money into, because you can get liquidated and lose your crypto as well. If the amount of the loan that you have is outstanding, but the collateral drops so quickly on you, well, then you're going to get a margin call, right? You're going to get liquidated. So you have to make sure that you're being smart with what you're doing. Take a portion of your portfolio at your own risk and speculate in these things. But I wouldn't be taking most of my Bitcoin and stuff like that, trying to get an APY from these things. You have to make sure that you are paying attention and being smart. So be careful to not blindly accept the "we were hacked" excuse again. It's an easy scapegoat that hurts Bitcoin overall, and it may or may not prove true. Or ponder this: many reports of a BTC supply shortage. As Warren Buffett says, When the tide goes out, you will see who's swimming naked. And I 100% agree. Many of these places, or many of these exchanges, many of these quote unquote lending platforms, they always claim to be getting hacked. They're not getting hacked. They're trying to cover their tracks for the simple fact that they sold too much Bitcoin that they don't actually have. And this is why I constantly tell you guys, get your crypto off of an exchange. Go out here, buy you a ledger, solve your problems. It will solve all of your problems. You know me, I have so many different ledgers. Get you a ledger, solve the problem by just getting a ledger. Hold your own crypto. Now, if you're not that tech savvy, then yes, you could take the risk of leaving your crypto on an exchange if you want to. But me personally, that's what I would recommend that you guys go out here and do. You know, and then right here, I just wanted to share this with you guys, this meme, this GIF, this is what's going to happen, because we're transitioning now into what I expect is going to happen. Over the next 3 months, we're going to have this lame duck session. We were witnessing the stock market right now pump to all-time highs, which is great. As I said in my previous video last week, I expect volatility. I don't expect this pump to happen. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. I'm just one guy with a prediction. But I see Trump trying to fight this. We have to go from now up until January 20th. There will be no stimulus unless it comes from the Fed. I don't see how the government's going to be able to get together and convince Trump to sign off on a stimulus package. I just don't see it happening. We're seeing a spike in the virus cases now. We're topping 100,000 cases here in the U.S. So I expect us to go into some type of a second lockdown with no stimulus in sight. And even if a stimulus does pass, let's say that they do create like an emergency stimulus, it's not going to be enough. Remember, they only gave you $1,200 up until this point. So I really, really want you to be mindful of this. Now, Wall Street's anticipating that the money printer is going to go brr when Joe Biden comes in. And I definitely agree with that. I believe that he's going to accelerate the Great Reset, because when you look at this, look at the ideology of the government, of the country. Everyone's buying into this idea of modern monetary theory, that debt and deficits don't matter. Everyone's buying into this whole idea of Black Lives Matter. Everyone's buying into this idea of the Green New Deal. Everyone's buying it. So when you look at the ideology of where this country's going, everyone's turning into a Marxist and a socialist. So what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be more money printing, more of the same, just at an accelerated pace. The death of the dollar is going to happen very quickly. So when you're investing in these assets, understand you're investing in a macro theme, right? Do you see any of this macro theme going back, or do you see it accelerating, right? Do you see them retracting this? No. You have AOC, Ilhan Omar, and the other girl, I forgot her name. I think Rashida something, I forgot her name. They're all socialists. They're all Marxists. They're all commies. Your government is full of that, right? And your government has sold itself out to China, and we're going to see more of that happening. So from a macro theme, I don't care what your politics are. At the end of the day, this is what's going to happen. More money printing is going to happen. So you need to make sure that you're paying attention. Also with ETH, a lot of people aren't staking their ETH into the new ETH2 contract. And you have a certain amount of time. I want to read this first contract real quick. It says, the deposit contract went live last week, and at the time of writing, 49,000 ETH has been deposited by 232 unique depositors, which represents 9.4% of the required 524,288 ETH that must be deposited before ETH2 Phase 0 can launch. This is due to the fact that ETH Phase 0, the beacon chain, requires a minimum of 16,384 validators in order to start producing blocks. 32 ETH per validator. 16,384 validators equals 524,288 total ETH staked. If this minimum is not reached 7 days before December 1st at 12 p.m. UTC, then the beacon chain will not start at that time. You can track the progress by either following the Twitter account below or bookmarking the Dune Analytics dashboard. So there's some problem with people actually putting enough ETH into the contract. So if this doesn't happen 7 days prior to December 1st, then there's going to be a problem. And I just think a lot of this has to do with the fact that ETH is starting to pump and people don't really want their ETH locked up for that time period. But again, the sooner you lock up your ETH to be a validator, the bigger the APY will be. So make sure that you definitely keep that in mind. Thank you for the donation, Des Vision. Excuse me. What about Coinbase Wallet? Can I trust that or should I get a Ledger? From what I see, they are two different platforms. Of course, you should definitely get a Ledger if you know how to use one. See, your storage methods should match your technical capabilities. If you don't know how to properly use a Ledger and you feel that using a Ledger is too hard for you, then remember, once you send your crypto, if you send it to the wrong address, you're done. If you lose your private keys, you're done, right? So if you feel like you're not responsible with your private keys, with your seed, if you're not responsible with your storage methods, then leave it on Coinbase. I don't recommend that, but I do also understand that many of you are not that tech savvy and you're afraid of maybe making a mistake and doing something wrong. But if you feel that you can send an email, if you can copy and paste an email address and you can, send someone an email, then you can do a crypto transaction and you can use a Ledger. If you can write down your seed, maybe take a picture of it, store it somewhere, then you can use a Ledger. Now, some of you can't do that. So if you can't do that, then you don't have to use a Ledger. But if you can send an email, you can use a Ledger. And if you know how to take a picture and write down your seed, you can do that. Now, if you don't know how to do that, don't get a Ledger. But I believe you, Des Vision. I believe that you're smart enough and intelligent enough to use a Ledger. So 100% you should use a Ledger, because if you leave your crypto sitting on Coinbase, they have insurance. You'll get back your fiat, but you won't get back your Bitcoin. Remember, we're in this because you want to get away from fiat, right? Or you want to get gains in fiat. You don't want to just get back your fiat. What good is it if a person gives you back, let's say you have $10,000 invested in Bitcoin. Okay, you get your $10,000 back, but Bitcoin pumps to $100,000, right? You want to hold your Bitcoin. So that's why you need to be focused on that. And Raul Paul said this, and I liked what he said here. He said, the significance of the world's greatest and most respected money manager, Stan Druckenmiller, saying just now that he has long Bitcoin cannot be overstated. That has removed every obstacle for every hedge fund or an endowment to invest. So you have to start thinking about that long term, right? Really, really pay attention to that. Think about how much capital is sitting in these big institutional funds that's sitting on the sidelines. We have an asset class that's worth less than $500 billion. This isn't rocket science. You don't have to be a finance PhD to figure this out. This is just common sense. So last thing I want to share with you is this right here. It says, Biden virus advisor Austin Holmes says the U.S. is about to enter virus hell. I can't say that word because YouTube will flag the video. The virus pandemic in the U.S. will face its darkest period so far over the next 3 to 4 months as cases continue to surge above 100,000 per day. A newly appointed virus advisor to President-elect Joe Biden said on Monday, what America has to understand is that we are about to enter virus hell. Dr. Michael Ostenholm, director of the Center of Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota, told CNBC's Squawk Alley, it's happening. The U.S. is reporting a record high weekly average of roughly 108,736 cases every day, growing more than 33% compared with a week ago, according to a CNBC analysis of data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. And I'm going to share this with you guys so that you can go read this on your own. I don't want to read the whole article. Guys, as I said before, I could be wrong, but I'm going to stick to the mindset that you should have some cash on the sidelines. You should have a list of assets that you want to add to or buy. I expect that the market's going to see a lot of volatility over the next 3 to 4 months. A lot of people are riding this high right now. Could the Fed step in and bail everyone out? Absolutely. The Fed is a wild card. But if things remain the way they are, right? Understand this, because I want to make sure that I'm framing this in the proper context. If everything remains and stays the way that is currently structured, I see the markets going lower from here because we're going to have a spike in cases. There will be no stimulus. We have a lame duck president waiting for the inauguration in January 20th. I don't see any stimulus coming. We know that Wall Street is addicted to cheap money and credit and stimulus. We know that. If that doesn't come, I see the markets going lower. I see this boom that we're having right now as just simply rocking you to sleep. And I would be very cautious here. If you are investing, you should be focusing on dollar cost averaging. You know that's what we constantly talk about on this channel, dollar cost averaging. I don't care if markets drop lower. Number one, my positions in Bitcoin are all the way down to $600, $700, $800. So I'm deep in the money. My Ethereum, I'm in ETH from like $40. So I'm deep in the money. But we don't buy FOMO here. We don't buy pumps on this channel. We buy pullbacks and we buy crashes. When there's blood in the street, I want to buy. When everyone's scared, when the price drops 20, 30%, I want to buy. So I buy pullbacks, I sell rallies. That's my investing strategy. Now you can try to catch fallen knives. You can try to chase FOMO when the market's breaking out. But if you are, you should be allocating small amounts of capital. Dollar cost averaging. When I create a position, I'm going in from 3 to 5% every time of my portfolio. Very, very simple. If I have $100,000 that I'm looking to invest, I'm allocating 3 to 5% each time I go into the market. That's how I look at investing. So again, that's my thesis as to what I see going forward. I see this pump happening right now as a way to rock you to sleep, and I believe that the market's probably going to go a lot lower from here in the next 3 to 4 months. With this whole, we have the cases spiking, no stimulus, new president coming in, and I don't see Trump going out without a fight. So I definitely see that we're going to have a problem there. And with that being said, let's take some questions now, see what's going on. I mean, all markets, honestly. Bitcoin is starting to decouple, a Brit. So we don't really know. Bitcoin's a wild card. We don't know. So I can't make an accurate prediction about that because we did see Bitcoin start to decouple. But I'm going to sit up here and say, in my personal opinion, be prepared for volatility is what I'm going to tell you. Be prepared for volatility. Let's see what else is here. So dollar cost averaging is what we focus on here. Let's see some other questions. Yes, I would prefer staking altcoins over Bitcoin. A good coin, Jesse. The difference between a Nano X and a Nano X and a Nano S is that the this can hold more cryptocurrencies, and it just has you can hold various different cryptocurrencies, and it has more space, more storage space compared to this one right here. This one is smaller, right? So this one is limited to, I believe, you only can store about 10 different cryptocurrencies on here. Whereas the Ledger X has support for almost every cryptocurrency, all of the major ones. So that's the difference. It just has a bigger capacity as far as what it can store. Also, yeah, it's Bluetooth as well. So that definitely helps. Are you buying, holding, or selling right now? And thanks for the content and information. I'm not selling anything. I told you guys, I'm not even looking to sell any of my crypto. Until we hit $1 trillion market cap. I'm not even selling doesn't even cross my mind until we hit $1 trillion market cap. When we hit $1 trillion market cap, I may curb and pull back on some of my altcoin holdings that I have, such as like VeChain and stuff like that. But trust me, guys, we have the pump that's going to happen when all of this big money that's sitting on the sideline comes, it's just going to be insane. And then you have to understand that people are stupid, right? So they're always going to look for like the next Bitcoin. Like that's investor psychology. People have shiny object syndrome. So they're going to put their money into all of these different altcoins because they're going to buy into the narrative that these altcoins are better than Bitcoin, which is why you can see like a sushi, a yam, and all of these different food coins, because people are just like, that's just people, right? They will always chase the next shiny object. So if you have altcoins, like I wouldn't really be looking to sell. If it's in the top 100, you're pretty good with altcoins. That's just a reality. XRP is absolutely garbage. There's no reason why you should own Ripple. Get a stable coin. I don't see any reason why you should own Ripple. Get a stable coin. Simple. Very simple. I don't see any need for a bridge currency. I just don't. But again, this is my opinion. I am not a financial advisor. Can the price of Ripple pump? See, again, I always like to preference my statements clearly so that we can have the proper context. A cryptocurrency could be trash and it could still pump. DentaCoin had a big market cap at one point. BitConnect had a big, a large market cap before. Can garbage pump in crypto? Absolutely. I'm talking about from a pure technology standpoint. Ripple is garbage. From just a technology standpoint. That's the Hyperledger, all that stuff is garbage, in my opinion. So again, I'm not telling you to sell your crypto, your Ripple, whatever. Listen, if you believe in it, may the Lord be with you. And thank you for the donation, A Brit. But again, I'm not selling anything. And I will be buying. Right now, Chainlink. My kill zone for Chainlink is between $7 and $3. So I would love for Chainlink to. Chainlink right now is one of my favorite cryptocurrencies. Excuse me, by far. And I'll definitely be looking to scoop up some BAN just as being a derivative play off of Chainlink. That's where I'm looking at right now. So those are the only two cryptocurrencies I will be looking to add to. Maybe even Polkadot, because I like Polkadot as well. Anything that's layer 2, anything that has to do with layer 2 scaling or Oracle's middleware, I'm into that 100%. I don't see them trying to fight back against crypto. I see them embracing it because they want to usher in their central bank digital currencies, Courtney Gibson. So as long as they can tax it and regulate it, I don't see them coming after crypto. I do see them going after Monero because we know Monero is a beast when it comes to privacy. Monero is what Bitcoin should be, right? Or what people think they're buying when they buy Bitcoin. Monero is by far superior to Bitcoin, but it's too good. So therefore, I believe that eventually governments and exchanges are going to start to crack down on Monero because it's just too good. Chainlink's a monster. I'm telling you, when you really start studying that technology and you really start studying the team that they're putting together and how they're executing on what they're trying to do, man. I wouldn't touch Yearn Finance with Magic Johnson's penis. I don't trust that guy, Andre Crandre, or however you say his name. Brilliant mind. Very, very, very brilliant mind. Has a lot of different strategies. But listen, I manage money for a living. I can't come to my investors and say, hey, I followed this anonymous guy named Andre on Twitter and I brought into his yield farming strategy and I lost 90% of your money. I can't do that. Now, if you're trying to be diligent and you're structuring your portfolio, you could put some money into his strategies that he has, put some money into Yearn Finance. I'm just like, I studied the technology. I think it's brilliant. I truly, truly think that the guy is brilliant. He's very, very, very talented. But I don't have time to play these games with rug pulls. I have too much money invested in crypto, right? So I can't do that. Now for you, and see, this is why you have to understand, when you're listening to someone, you have to put yourself in their shoes and say to yourself, is me and this individual on the same page, right? Meaning, am I investing $1,000 that I don't really care if I lose and I'm taking a gamble versus am I investing $100,000 a clip, right? See, these are the things you have to think about. Am I maxing out my credit card to buy this crypto? Am I taking out a loan from the bank to buy this crypto? Or is this my stimulus money and I'm just rolling the dice, right? So these are things you have to think about when you're investing. If you're just like, hey, you know what? This is a lottery ticket, a far out play. I don't really have any fundamental reason why I'm buying this. I'm just buying this because I want to. Then yeah, put your money in Yearn Finance. I'll take that bet, right? That $1,200 bet. But when I have people giving me their money to invest, I can't come back to you and say, hey, I followed some random guy on Twitter and I put my money into one of his strategies, his yield hacking strategies, and I lost all my money, right? That just wouldn't fly. So you have to understand where I'm coming from when I say these things, right? I'm thinking more of a what's safe and what's smart versus what's, speculating and flat out just gambling, right? Trying to play for the lottery. So that's my thesis. So again, for you, it may be a great investment to put your money in Yearn Finance. And Yearn Finance may turn out to be one of the greatest things. Again, I think the guy Andre is brilliant, but I wouldn't touch that with Magic Johnson's penis. As I said before, you guys, my picks. I tell you guys my picks all the time. I keep it simple. I look at just things, they have to make sense to me, and it has to follow a line of reasoning and logic for me to put my money in something. Right? I can't see myself putting money into something where there's this random anonymous guy and every week he's launching something different. That's more for newbies who are looking for that next 100x. Me, I'm an OG. I've made a lot of money at this point, so I don't really need to put my money. I don't really need to look for 100x's. Honestly, I'll take them as they come, but I don't need to do that. A 10x for me, a 15x for me would be great. With the amount of crypto that I hold, I've been in this for 8 years, so I'm not looking for like the latest and greatest crypto that's going to 15x. Why did you sell Tezos, Courtney Gibson? %, I believe Bitcoin's going to hit 100K, without a shadow of a doubt. I believe $250,000. Put it in Chainlink. Okay, yeah, I scooped up a lot of Chainlink at $7. When Chainlink crashed to like $7.70, $7.50 on some exchanges, I scooped up a ton of Chainlink. I just blew a bag on it. My kill zone for Chainlink is between $7 and $3. Anything between $7 and $3, I'm buying it. Anything between that range, I'm buying it 100%. Let's see what other questions in here. Another good thing is a run a full node. If you're not a run a full node if you don't trust hardware wallets. Let's see what else is in here. I'm not the guy who's shilling $1 is a complete moron. You guys, you have to understand. I attract a lot of trolls because people don't like when you're intelligent. I have people who they're taking my head and they're cutting off my head, or they're like screenshotting my videos and they're putting my pictures up on like gay porn sites. They're taking my business emails and stuff like that, putting it into gay porn sites. I'm getting spammed, all kind of crazy stuff. Like people are trolls. Like, that's the internet. So this guy coming in here trolling the US dollar, this is just another one of the things that they do to troll. I have people flagging my videos all day long. Like, that's just what people do. You can't stop trolls from being trolls, right? I have people trying to send food to my house. Like, that's what idiots do. Like, trolls will be trolls, you know. So I just let them troll. Go ahead. The guy's stats boss. So if he wants to shield the U.S. dollar, something that loses 3%, and what the hell can I do? You know, I deal with. I've been dealing with trolls on his channel now for 2 years now. That's just what's going to happen. So let's check prices now right now, right? So we had what 15,391. Oh, market's recovering. Let's go back here. All right, so I covered most of the questions. Steve, thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. It says, thanks for the great info. Would you be open to the idea of sharing info on when you make investments, not as financial advice, just for people that want to try to follow your pattern? Steve, I'm in the process of putting together an investment course right now for my students in the academy. I'm going to have a spreadsheet of like an Excel spreadsheet where you can actually like see like an overall pie chart as to what you're investing in, stuff like that. It's going to be connected to an API where it's going to track the price, your ROI, everything like that. So 100%, I'm definitely already working on something like that. Thank you for the donation. I'm already putting that stuff together, giving people ideas of like how I buy, what's my mentality of buying, how to use the Ichimoku cloud with some other indicators, utilizing fundamental analysis with technical analysis. It's just what a lot of people don't understand. And again, thank you for the donation. It takes a lot of time to put together a course, especially when you are filtering out information and filtering out the noise. Because the thing with the internet is that everyone has an opinion, and it's so easy to get, hoodwinked or scammed when you have these big boys, these big influencers, and they're shilling a new cryptocurrency every day, and it's up, 4x or 5x or 10x in a day. So I have my students coming to me, oh, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? And I try to get them to say, calm down, because even if the coin is pumping, there's no liquidity for you to be able to get out, right? Like you're going to get dumped on. And I try to explain this to people all the time. So yes, I'm in the process of working on that. Yes, I will have a Excel spreadsheet and everything walking you through my buys and what price levels I'm looking to get in and stuff like that. I also plan on creating some type of like a market analysis. I'm not sure if it's going to be every 2 weeks or every week, because one of the problems that I'm noticing just with the academy is many of you are too busy to really keep up with the content. So it's like I don't want to have these like private streams and group streams for us if a lot of you can't attend it, right? Because this is time sensitive information. So you need to make sure that you're consuming the information when you need to consume the information. So yes, I'm in the process of doing that as we speak. I'm just really just trying to tweak a few things, but I believe that the DeFi course and everything should be done within the next week to 2 weeks, maybe even later this week. Because right now I'm focusing on trying to teach you how to create your own hedge fund with some of these yield hacking strategies. So I'm playing with some different strategies that I'm looking at, but I don't like to put my face on something if I think it's going to be a scam or if I think it's going to be too hard. Like right now, you should be getting gains. So you should be happy with the gains you have. But I also want to create more of I wouldn't say trading environment, but just more of an active investing environment for some of the people in the academy. Because some of you want to be active in managing your stuff. So yes, I will definitely do that. But then I also have to look at the legal aspect of that as well. But again, thank you for the donation. YouTube has got a spam problem. Wow, I'm waiting for a pullback on BTC to go full ham. Yeah, don't go full ham, man. Just buy a little bit over time. Allocate 3 to 5% each time you come in, and you'll be fine. My website for if you want to join the academy is in the description as well. It's called mytechacademy.io, and there's also a link inside of the chat in the stream. A Brit. Are we sending good food? No, listen, these people are crazy. They send like Chinese food and stuff to my house. These people are sick. These people are sick. That's what listen, these people are mentally ill, man. I had one guy, he made a video. He used to make videos about me every single day. Like these people are crazy. Thank you, J Rag, for the donation. Glad to see someone in our community showing our people the way. Keep it up, sir. Also, a book I recommend, Bitcoin in Black America. I looked at the book. I actually followed a guy on Twitter. I haven't had a chance to get into the book, but I definitely will look into the book. He's very knowledgeable about crypto. I would recommend some of you guys go and follow him. He has some good information as well. And thank you for the donation. No, I have a Slack. I have a Slack group for everyone who's a part of my Tech Academy, especially those of you going through the coding boot camp. Because as you can see, I'm starting to drop more projects, and we're starting to get ready to ramp up. Over the holidays, we're really going to get into React.js and Solidity and some other frameworks and stuff like that. So I'm trying to give you guys enough time to consume the information. And we're doing vanilla JavaScript right now, because if you can understand the logical format of how to solve a problem with your computer, then when you dive into these different frameworks, it's just second nature to pick it up. And a lot of you don't understand that. Like, once you learn one programming language, it's very easy to pick up, Python and other programming languages and frameworks, because you understand the basis as to what you're trying to do with the computer or how to actually learn. So that's where we're currently at, and that's why I mainly created the Slack for the coding bootcamp, and also just so you and we can communicate with each other easier, because now when you post something in Slack, I get a notification right to my phone, and I can just use the app, right? And you can use the app as well, so it's easier to communicate that way. So I don't really see the need for a Telegram, because that would just be too much for me to do throughout the day, to go from like Telegram to Slack and stuff like that. Ryan Glean, how did you know the Democrats would steal the election? I just knew it because I've been saying this for a year now. And people keep saying, like, what do you mean steal the election? Meaning that they were going to strategize to make it hard for Donald Trump to win. That's what I mean by that, right? Whether it's through dead people voting, whether it's through mail-in ballots, they were going to make it very hard for Trump to win. And they like this idea of the pandemic because it makes it harder now for the economy to thrive. The only way that Trump could win is with the economy. That's all he could run on. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Biden supporter. I just look at things logically. Trump was running and basing his entire re-election campaign off of the Fed cutting interest rates and pumping the stock market. That was his whole platform, right? Because we lost manufacturing jobs under Trump. He didn't build the wall to the extent that he said he was going to do. None of his campaign promises that he promised he was going to do, he didn't do. He didn't help out the farmers to the degree that he was promising, right? So the deal with China, how he was going to get tough on China, none of that happened. The only way that Donald Trump would be able to get reelected was going to be him running on the economy. Well, the pandemic happened. Economy tanked. So there's no way that he's going to be able to run on that, right? So now you add in mail-in voting. There was just no way that he was going to be able to win. Like, it was so obvious to see it. And the Democrats, they love it that way because they know that, by having it structured that way, it was going to be problematic for him to win. Now, as I said, just so happens that now they have a vaccine that's 90% effective against the pandemic a week after the election. If Joe Biden has dementia, this man can't walk and chew gum. He can't string together a full sentence. There's absolutely no way that Joe Biden should be the president of the United States. Absolutely no way. If we're basing this off just being rational, right? I mean, the man he barely can speak. But again, the powers that be wanted this because this is all a part of the Great Reset. And remember, I'm not coming at this from a political standpoint. I don't care what your political beliefs, are. I'm coming at this just purely from reading the tea leaves, following a line of reasoning and logic. And in a country full of 300 million people, you can't tell me that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are the best options that we have. That in itself is problematic and fundamentally flawed, that these are the best options that we have. Now, looking at it from the standpoint of, what's to come, who benefits the globalist agenda better than Joe Biden? Like, who's going to implement it better than Joe Biden? Of course, it's going to be Joe Biden. So that's how I knew it was going to happen. And then when I seen all of these big, celebrities, and I saw the NBA put Black Lives Matter on it, like everything during this pandemic has been political. Everything has been political. Every police shooting, every time you turn on the TV, everything is about politics. So I just knew that with the media, with the liberals, with Hollywood, there was no way that Trump was going to be able to win that. I could see it. It's just common sense. And thank you for the donation, Ryan Glenn. Self-made SM. What type of skill sets should people who want to be rich in the next paradigm invest in besides computer programming, cryptocurrency? I want to invest heavily in fintech, human communications interfaces. Yeah. You should be investing in water. That's one. Biotechnology is another one. 5G. Such things like Zoom. Anything that has to deal with communication via the internet, right? Because the world's going to actually shrink. Standards of living is going to definitely collapse. So stuff like that. Self-driving cars, networking is things that I would be paying heavy attention to. But I just honestly, I can't think. Maybe like green energy. That's another thing that's going to be big. Renewable energy. So if you wanted to get into like, developing and managing and working with green energy, that could be something that you should definitely look into because, AOC and Ilhan Omar, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, they're all going to dump heavy amounts of money into renewable energy with this whole Green New Deal. So again, you should be definitely trying to position yourself to get a little bit of that, 100%. So I will be looking at, clean energy, fintech. Remember, crypto is fintech, financial technology. So that's what I'm looking at. But again, I just think like IT, networking, computer programming. What else? What other skill sets could I think of that you should be learning how to market and sell products and services on the internet? Is going to be big skill sets. Utilizing Shopify, Instagram, marketplaces like the Facebook marketplace, that's going to be really, really big. Learning how to drop ship and sell other people's products, that's a skill set that you would want to look into. But I can't think of anything outside of technology. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I only see technology as being a way that the average person is going to be able to leverage skills, right? Because you also have to think about how much it's going to cost you to acquire the skills. And again, you can learn programming for free. Harvard has CS50, a free course. MIT, they have free courses. Like I just can't see another way outside of like programming, green energy, biotech. Like I can't think of any other way, honestly. Something in STEM, put it like that. It has to be science, technology, engineering, and mathematics based is what I see. What else we have here? Ricardo Cortez says that was my opinion off the rip. A lot of money towards the campaign. Also, we should be electing people in their 30s and 40s when they're in their prime, not diminishing in intellectual capacity. 100%. And also, you have to understand that a lot of these people, they're rooted in their ideology at that point. Like it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, So you have to be very, very mindful of that when you're thinking about these presidential candidates. 2022, I see Bitcoin being on discount all year. What are your thoughts on the stock NIO? Is that the stock that was trying to compete with Tesla, I believe, and their CEO ended up stepping down, Darren Blake 305? Yeah, the electric vehicle company. I haven't really looked too much into it. I know that their marketing is on point because they're trying to sell themselves as the next Tesla. And you guys, you always hear me say that. Whenever you have a successful brand and company like Tesla, it's always good to invest in the derivative that's trying to be next, because people are greedy and they have shiny object syndrome. So money's naturally going to pour into NIO because people believe that it's going to be the Chinese version of Tesla or the new Tesla. Again, people are stupid, right? So it's very easy to sell them a narrative. So as an investor, right, just being smart, just being intelligent, I would want to play in that stock. Again, this isn't financial advice, but I would want to play in any stock that's trying to be the derivative or second place, right? Because second place is still a winner in terms of money. Like, this is why I buy like Tezos or like a Cardano or like an Avalanche. I would buy those cryptocurrencies because they're being sold as the next Ethereum or better than Ethereum. So by nature, people are always going to look for the next greatest best thing. That's just human nature, psychology. So pay attention to that. So yes, and like Coke and Pepsi, yeah, 100%. Like, that's just people, right? People are always going to do that. And then you have these Robinhood traders who they're degenerate gamblers. So they're following Wall Street bets and Reddit. They're 100% going to dump their money into stuff like NIO. Now, again, I haven't followed NIO, so I don't know exactly how well the company is or isn't doing, but that's just how people are. But yeah, Ricardo Cortez says, I can tell you for a fact, as a computer science student, we get hella money during the summer alone when we do internships. Yeah, guys, I only promote things that I know can make you money. And this isn't financial advice. I talk about coding because I know where the money's at. I know. I'm in Slack groups, other groups, and Telegrams. I'm talking to people who are getting paid internships to learn how to code. Amazon Web Service, they're coming out with AWS. They have certificate programs that you can go learn for free. Like, there's so much money and capital going into this. If you are a developer, if you are a programmer, and you have skills, you are going to make money. If you understand technology, you can make money anywhere in the world. This is why I'm promoting my coding bootcamp so hard, so heavily, because I know where the money's at. There may be other things that can make you money. I'm not saying that there won't be other sectors that can make you money. If you're in STEM, you're going to make money. And you don't need a college degree. You don't need a college degree to get hired as a developer. If you have a portfolio of projects and you can solve problems, you will get hired. And now you have to start thinking about working remotely. If this pandemic lasts another 2 years, another year, if you have a skill set to work from home, you're going to make money. That's it. That's all I can do is tell you that, right? I can't tell you about something that I don't know about. I know for a fact, I talk to developers, they're getting $10,000, $15,000 gigs to, build certain projects for people, working from the comfort of their home. Now, does it take time to get this skill set? Yes, I would say 6 months to a year to really get comfortable with getting to the point where you can go and get an internship and make some money. Depending on how much time you're dedicating to this, depending if you have an analytical or mathematical background, like, those things matter. Like, for me, it was easy for me to pick it up because I have that background. But for some of you, it may be harder. Okay, give yourself 6 months to a year. That's all. Do you think tech is going up, or do you think tech stocks are going? Hold on, I can't read this. Do you think tech is going up, or do you think some stocks in tech are going up because of Biden? I believe that Wall Street is basically saying that they like Biden, right? They're signaling that Biden is going to be inflationary. He's going to crush the dollar, and he's going to print money, right? That's what Wall Street is signaling with the stock market pumping. But you have to remember, there are time frames, right? So if I'm investing for the next 4 months, I believe the market's going lower, just based upon what's going to happen with the pandemic and what's going to happen with the fact that we have a sitting president that's on his way out. But long term, everyone's basically saying that, they like Biden. So Biden's going to be great for stocks in general, definitely for tech stocks, right? Tech stocks are overvalued right now. They're overheating. So I can definitely see a retracement in the stocks. I mean, Apple got to the point where it was worth $2 trillion, right? So I definitely see a lot of money will come out of stocks, tech stocks short term, but it's going to flow right back in there, right? So you should be buying pullbacks. That's my nature. Like I don't see tech companies getting smaller. I see them getting bigger, right? So when I'm looking at tech stocks or technology in general, I'm allocating on pullbacks because I believe in that technology long term. I joined the Academy. Fire. Thank you. 100%. Peter Shimmy, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Right. So that's just my like 100%. I just see technology getting bigger and better, especially with what's happening with this. The world's going to basically get more interconnected via technology. More and more people are going to want to stay home and work. You see, I believe Twitter and other companies that are jumping on board with the fact that you can work from home indefinitely. You got to get these skills, period. But we're coming up on an hour and 30 minutes. I don't want to keep this stream going too long, so I'm going to close it out here. The bottom line is that we're starting to see more and more people who were against crypto, who were detractors, such as Stanley Druckenmiller, get involved now. And that's a beautiful thing, because for those of us who have been in this technology and been investing for the past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, etc., we were able to see this before it was a trend. I knew this years ago that Wall Street eventually would have to get in and they have to buy my bags or pump my bags. And that's where we currently are at. And now you even have people like Nouriel Roubini who called this a Ponzi scheme. Now he's saying, oh yeah, well, Bitcoin's a store of value. This is the importance of this technology, and it will only continue to accelerate. You have to make sure from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you are learning about the tech. If you are an investor, you need to make sure that you're positioning or allocating a percentage of your portfolio to these assets, because the bull market hasn't even started yet. I'm telling you, the bull market is on its way. Now, will there be some, ebbs and flows, highs and lows over the short term? Absolutely. But when you understand that Bitcoin is trying to be a store of value, and right now it's actually poised to be a better store of value than gold, then you understand what you're doing, and you should be dollar cost averaging, meaning allocating small percentage of capital over time and buying dips and buying pullbacks in whatever cryptocurrency project you may like. Also, when you start thinking about DeFi, I want a lot of you to be smart about, it's exciting to be involved in this technology. It's exciting to invest your money in something and make 10x on your money in a week. All that stuff is great, but there will be more scams and schemes than there will be credible projects, right? When it's all said and done, many of these projects are they're just schemes. So be very careful and cognizant, and don't get ahead of yourself as to what you're investing in. For those of you who want to learn about the technology, right, and you want to get straight to the point, I created my Tech Academy. We have a free 7-day trial. You're welcome to come try it out, see if you like it. For those of you who are students and you're not a part of the Slack group, get in the Slack group. I just released a new project, simple project, but it's a new project in the Coding Bootcamp. Make sure you're keeping up with the projects, because next week we're going to start diving into frameworks. So you need to make sure that you are getting up to speed with just vanilla JavaScript, learning how to properly use it. If you would like to book a consultation with me, go to my website, click on book a consultation, and then we can set up an appropriate date for you and I to link up with each other. With that being said, guys, have a blessed and beautiful night. Please do me a favor and like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and make sure that you join my mailing list so that you would be notified. Good night, and may your bags continue to pump.